Hi Carrington, thank you for coming in today. How are you doing?
I am doing okay, but there's something that's frustrating me that I'd love to speak with you about.
Sure, what's frustrating you?
So something that's frustrating me is where I live in my apartment. I live on the second floor, but it's actually like an apartment of like 5 different apartments, but there's like houses that were built and like there's like halls between the houses to make them one big house. And so there's like a lot of people that live within that apartment building. And one thing that I like struggle with so much living there is not only the parking is difficult because there's so many people that live there, there's so many people that are adults living there that Steve, my boyfriend, has to park on the street with his big old GMC super expensive diesel truck. And so that I get to hear about every single day. But another thing that is challenging about it is my dog. So my dog isn't nice. He'll bark at other people, he'll bark at other animals, he'll go after other animals, he'll go after men. He doesn't like men. And so we only have one small backyard, gated backyard. And then there's 2 dogs that live below me. And so sometimes I'll be letting my dog out in the backyard and then their dogs will bark because my dog's in the backyard. And so they'll think that their dogs need to come out. And then they'll just open the door and let the dogs out, and then their dogs come running after my dog, and my dog's a really reactive dog, so if dogs are running at him, he's going to want to fight. He's going to want to protect himself and protect me.
Yeah, that sounds really frustrating.
Yes, and it gives me a panic attack sometimes, so I've been taking my dog into the front yard, which is also challenging, because the front yard is half of the house that the apartment owner doesn't own, the other side of the street.
Yeah.
And then half is ours. And so like I always have to like kind of like teeter on like literally there is no actual line in the ground, but I have to figure out like, okay, which part of this line is ours and which part is the other person's. I have to make sure my dog doesn't poop on their side.
Right.
And since it's in the front, that means people are always walking by and people are walking their dogs by too. So sometimes my dog doesn't get to like really go to the bathroom, or spend time outside because I have to rush him inside so he doesn't get reactive to other dogs.
So what I'm hearing is that it's very frustrating to live at your apartment, not only because of the parking situation, but also because there's other dogs and your dog isn't as friendly or isn't as well maintained around other dogs.
Exactly, and it's embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than like just trying to have your dog outside and all of a sudden he's viciously barking and growling at somebody just walking by minding their own business.
Right. No, I totally understand that. Is there anything that you've tried to do to help with that?
So I did switch to going in the front yard to try to help with at least not having that confrontation between the dogs in the backyard. I've also wanted to talk to the person that lives downstairs to kind of maybe create a schedule, but I don't want to overstep my boundary because they've lived there for many, many, many more years than I have. So I don't want to come in here and be like, okay, now you can only be in the yard for certain times.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that, you're doing the best you can by adjusting your schedule. So that way you're not making it anybody else's problem. You're like, I'll figure this out on my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also got a gardening fence. So it's like a fence that you just sticks into the ground, but we're gonna try to put that up to separate. We asked the landlord if we could do this, and she said yes. It's like it has like even a gate to open and close, so we can separate the yard. But the only thing is, my dog's still gonna bark through that at the other dogs. So it's really just getting him adapted.
Do you think it would be strong enough, like if he did like bark through that, like he wouldn't be able to get through it or anything like that?
If we zip tied it to the other fence, so like if it went across and the 2 fences are like this, if we zip tied both ends, I think it would be fine. It's just I get anxious with loud noises and like I get overstimulated really quickly, so I always just use the avoidance tactic, but that doesn't benefit me in my life. It actually just causes more challenges that I have to overcome. So I think I really do need to just voice my needs in the apartment because everyone else's needs are being met. Just mine aren't.
Right. No, that makes total sense. I agree with that. And it sounds like you might need to talk to your downstairs neighbors, even if it's not something you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like you're dealing with some very frustrating things while you're living in that apartment. Can you tell me more about the parking situation?
Yeah, so technically me and Steve have 2 parking spots, but they're 2 compact spots. So his big old diesel truck ain't gonna fit there. And then recently there's been one of the neighbors has had visitors, so they've been parking in Steve's spot. So Steve has had to like literally actually like park on a different street, or like I've had to park on a different street so that he could have the 2 compact spots as his one spot. So, but we were able to address that with the person that was just randomly parking there. We were able to actually, he was sitting in his car one day, so Steve went up to him and was like, listen, like, you have to park somewhere else. You have a smaller car. You can park in the extra compact spot, but we need this spot. And so we were able to make that change, which is good. But it's something, since he has to park on the street, it's something that we do every once in a while have to deal with, because people will randomly park there because they don't know.
Right. No, that sounds super frustrating, like having to like park on a different street compared to your house, or having to make those adjustments where you have to park on a different street to accommodate Steve's big truck.
Mm-hmm.
So that does sound very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Carrington, for coming and meeting with me today. I very much appreciate that, and I hope to see you next week.
Yes, thank you for listening.